Hello, and welcome to another episode of my literature podcast. My name is Anna Better, and I'm thrilled to have you join me today. In this episode, I'm diving into the enchanting and timeless world of Jane Austen's masterpiece, Pride and Prejudice. Today, I want to explore the complex relationships, sharp social critique, and unforgettable characters like Elizabeth Bennet and Mr. Darcy. What makes this book so special and why has it stood the test of time? Now, what lessons can we learn from the challenges and triumphs of the Bennet family? So, grab your favorite cup of tea, settle in, and let's journey together through the wit and the wisdom of Pride and Prejudice. Stay tuned. Before we dive in our discussion, let's take a moment to summarize the plot of Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice. The story centers on Elizabeth Bennet, one of five sisters in a respectable but not wealthy family in rural England. The Bennet family estate is entailed, meaning it must pass to a male heritage, which makes it imperative for the Bennet sisters to marry well. When the wealthy and suitable bachelor Mr. Charles Bingley moves into the nearby Netherfield Park, he catches the eye of Jane Bennet, Elizabeth's elder sister. At the same time, Mr. Bingley's friend, the handsome but distant Mr. Fitzwilliam Darcy, makes a less favourable impression on Elizabeth. His pride and her prejudice led to a series of misunderstandings and judgments. Elizabeth's initial dislike of Mr. Darcy is intensified by the charming but deceitful Mr. Wickham, who tells her past complaints with Mr. Darcy. Meanwhile, Mr. Collins, a pompous clergyman on the Bennet estate's heritage, proposes to Elizabeth, who refuses him. He quickly marries her friend, Charlotte Lucas, instead. As the story progresses, Elizabeth visits Charlotte and Mr. Collins and encounters Mr. Darcy again. During his stay, Darcy confesses his love for her and proposes, but Elizabeth rejects him, citing his role in separating Jane and Mr. Bingley and his mistreatment of Mr. Wickham. Later, Darcy writes Elizabeth a letter explaining his actions and revealing Wickham's true character. Elizabeth begins to see Darcy in a new light. Her feelings further evolve when she visits Darcy's estate Pemberley and hears positive accounts of him from his servants. The turning point comes when Lydia, Elizabeth's younger sister, elopes with Wickham. Darcy intervenes, ensuring the marriage to protect the Bennet's family reputation. This act of kindness and responsibility deeply affects Elizabeth. In the end, misunderstandings are cleared up and both Elizabeth and Mr. Darcy overcome their pride and prejudice. Mr. Bingley and Jane also reconcile and become engaged. The novel concludes with Elizabeth accepting Darcy's second proposal and the married embarking on life together built on mutual respect and love. This timeless story of love, social expectations, and personal growth continues to resonate with readers today, and it's why we're here to explore its depths. Because of this, I'm thrilled to welcome a celebrated author whose stories continue to captivate readers around the world. Please join me in welcoming the wonderful Jane Austen. Hello, Jane. Would you like to introduce yourself briefly for the excited and curious audience?
Yes, good day, dear listeners. Good day, Anna Butcher. So, I'm Jane Austen, the author of novel Pride and Prejudice, among lots of other works. And I was born on December 16, 1775. So, I must admit I'm an old spinster.
No, Jane.
Yes, I am. And yes, I was born in Stevenston in Hampshire in England. And I spent most of my life in the tranquil English countryside.
Oh, interesting.
And my family was large and lively, providing me with a wealth of inspiration for my characters and stories, you know. And I would say I began writing in my youth, delighting in the craft of creating tales that reflect the social manners and relationship in my time. You know, my novels, including Sense and Sensibility, I don't know if you know
Mm,
that,
yeah.
or Emma, and Mansfield Park, are often explore themselves of love, marriage, society, yes, and infused with a sense of irony and keen observation of human nature, you know.
Yeah, I understand.
And through my writing, to aim to entertain and provoke through about the social norms and expectation of the early 19th century. You know, I hope my stories, characters, and their journeys resonate with you, even in our modern age. You know, as they delve into timeless aspects of human experience.
Yeah, thanks. So, what inspired you to write Pride and Prejudice? Were there real life experiences or individuals that influenced the characters and the plot?
Well, darling, I found inspiration for Pride and Prejudice in the world around me. You know, drawing from my keen observation of the society and people encountered. The everyday interactions, social gatherings, or even subtitles of human behavior provided a rich tapestry for my writing. While the characters are fictional, they are amalgamations of traits and behaviors I observed in real people. For example, Elizabeth Bennet, for instance, embodies a spirit of intelligence and independence that I admire, while Mr. Darcy's initial aloofness reflects the misunderstandings that often arise from, yeah, my first impressions.
So, you're saying even if the characters are fictional, the traits were observed by real people?
Yes, I would say.
And I've read and heard that novels are often feature a strong female protagonists navigating social expectations.
Hmm.
So my question is, how did you view the role of women in literature during your time, and how did you aim to challenge or reflect those perceptions?
Well, in my time, you know, the role of women in society was largely defined by their relationships with men and their ability to secure a suitable marriage.
Yeah,
And I think through my novels, I sought to explore and, in some ways, challenge these social norms. And by creating strong, intelligent female protagonists like Elizabeth Bennet, for example, I aim to show that women possess not only the ability to think critically and independently, but also the capacity to navigate the complexities of their social environments with grace and wit. My characters well often confront and question the limitations placed upon them and reflecting my desire to see, I don't know, women recognized for their full potential, you know, and both in literature and life.
that's interesting. Yeah. So my last question would be, and I hope it's not too personal, but why did you never marry? Because even most of your characters did.
Oopsie daisy. Well, my dear, the question of why I never married is one that often arises, you know. The truth is, while I had the opportunity to marry during my lifetime, you know, I had a lot of admirers, but I never found a suitor who captured both my heart and my imagination. I valued my independence greatly and cherished the freedom to pursue my passion for writing about the distractions of marriage and family life. And though I may have remained a single woman, as some say, I found full fulfillment and joy in my literary pursuits, and I believe that I was able to make a lasting contribution to the world and through my novels. In the end, you know, darling, I followed the path and that felt trust to myself, and I have no regrets.
Thank you so much, Jane Austen, for sharing your insights and timeless wisdom with us today. Your stories continue to inspire and delight readers across the globe, and it has been an absolute honor to have you as our guest.
Thank you for having me.
And now, two of literature's most beloved characters are joining us, whose love story has enchanted readers for centuries. Please welcome Elizabeth Bennet and Mr. Darcy. Hello, lovebirds!
Hello.
Hello.
I can just speak for my husband and I. We're so happy to be here.
Oh, that's great. I'm very thrilled. So, to the first question, Elizabeth. At the beginning of Pride and Prejudice, what were your initial impressions of Mr. Darcy and how did they evolve over time?
So at first, I was very skeptical because
Yeah.
he wasn't just such an agreeable man at first.
Darling.
Yeah, but I mean, it changed throughout the time. So when I noticed how he treats his sister and what a prudent man he is, you know, and then he shared his love with me, and I was just at first shocked, but then I noticed what an agreeable man he is and how thoughtful and what an heartful man. And, it just, my darling.
That's very understandable. Can you share your thoughts on social expectations and the role of women in your time? How did these influence your decisions, especially regarding marriage?
So, well, I had a man like somehow chase after me, but so
She was quite a catch, you know.
but I didn't really want to marry until I met Darcy because it's expected from us women to marry and do all this stuff, but I think I'm not like that. I want to do other things, and I want to do things I desire.
Mm,
And maybe kids is not what every woman wants, and
yeah,
yeah, it's just a little hard in this
yeah.
time.
I'm very curious. How did your family dynamics, particularly your relationships with your sisters and parents, impact your outlook on life and love?
Well, for example, Jane, she's always looking for love. She always wanted to look good to men, and I'm a little different. Like, I always say
Yeah,
what I think, but Jane's just different, And also my little sisters, they always wanted to have a husband, and but it was they're all so different. And also my mom, she always wanted their little girls to have good husbands,
Yeah.
but that's not what
yeah,
everything's about. But I have to
that's
say,
right.
I have to say those are the qualities I really love about Elizabeth. So I think that's just you're just perfectly
that's a
fine.
cute.
Yeah, I
Thank
can
you.
understand. Come on, lovebirds. Now to you, Mr. Darcy. How did your upbringing and social status influence your interactions with others, particularly Elizabeth Bennet?
Well, my upbringing and social status, I have to admit, greatly influenced my interactions with others. You know,
Mm,
I was born into a wealthy and respected family. I was taught to value my heritage and maintain the dignity befitting my position. You know,
interesting, yeah.
yeah. When I first met Elizabeth Bennet, my ingrained sense of social superiority clouded my judgment. You know,
Yeah.
causing me to overlook her merits and dismiss her lively and intelligent nature. You know, don't give me the look, darling.
I just love it when you're such a charmer.
Well, isn't she lovely?
Yeah.
It might take time to reflection to see beyond these prejudice and appreciated her true worth.
So lovely to hear. After all the time, you're still in love. But can you elaborate on your transformation from a proud and reserved gentleman to someone more introspective and open hearted?
Well, sure. Well, my transformation began with Elizabeth's forthright rejection of my initial marriage proposal. She literally said no to me,
Yeah.
and her candid critique of my character and behavior forced me to confront the flaws in my conduct and attitudes. You know,
Well, I had to.
I yes, and I
Mm,
that's where I realized that my pride and my prejudice had blinded me to the feelings and perspectives of others, and determined to change. I made a conscious effort to be more understanding and considerate, not only towards Elizabeth, but also in my general interactions.
Yeah.
This whole journey of self improvement was furthered by my desire to win Elizabeth's respect and love, and prompting me to act with greater humility and empathy.
Wow, that's very matured. I would hope that some men could realize that in my time. Dear listeners, now we have the pleasure of welcoming two pivotal characters from Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice, whose roles as parents and individuals have left a lasting impression on readers worldwide. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to Mrs. and Mr. Bennet. Hello.
Hello.
Who are you? Please introduce yourself a little bit.
So I'm Mr. Bennet, the father of Elizabeth.
And I'm Mrs. Bennet, and I'm the mother of all Bennet girls.
Okay, let's start with the first question. So, looking back on the events of the novel, what lessons do you think readers can learn from your experiences as parents and spouses in the early 19th century?
So for me, it was always important that the safety and happiness of my daughters comes first.
Yeah, I understand it.
My dear Mr. Bennet, what an excellent father you are. So, well, for me, Mrs. Butcher, as a mother, I was primarily concerned has always been the well-being and security of my daughters.
I understand the mother point.
Yeah, but in our society, it largely depends on securing advantageous marriages, And don't roll your eyes, Mr. Bennet. I know I was often seen overly anxious and sometimes meddlesome, but my actions were driven by precariousness of our situation. One lesson readers can glean is the importance of balancing practical considerations with emotional intelligence, While it is crucial to ensure the future security of one's children, I admit it's equally important, to respect their individual choices and affections.
Yeah, I agree with you in all points what you said. Now I'm interested in what you, as parents, think about the match Elizabeth and Darcy.
Ah, my dear Elizabeth's match with Mr. Darcy. At first, I must admit, I was rather taken aback by the news. Darcy's initial demeanor left much to desired, and I had my reservations about his character and his intentions towards Lizzie. However, I have come to see that my initial judgments were quite mistaken.
I see your point.
Well, and I must say that initially I was quite surprised that Elizabeth matched with Mr. Darcy. When I first met him, I I found him to be exceedingly proud and not all sort of a gentleman and vision for my dear Lizzie.
You don't have to whisper, dear.
Yeah.
Well, however, as the events unfold, I came to see that a different side of Mr. Darcy, a side that is honorable, kind, and deeply, deeply in love with my daughter.
In the end, I'm very pleased with the match. Elizabeth's happiness is of the utmost importance to me, and it is clear that Mr. Darcy makes her very happy indeed. I could not have asked for a better partner for my favorite daughter.
So, Mr. Bennet, Elizabeth is your favorite child.
Yes, apparently.
Thanks for you both for attending to my podcast and for your remarkable advice. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Thank us for having us.
Yeah. Bye. now have the chance to welcome two further iconic figures from the book. Although they couldn't be here in person, Jane Bennet and Mr. Bingley are graciously joining us on the go. Jane, Mr. Bingley, can you hear me all right?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Fantastic. We're delighted to have you both join us, even if it's from the road. Let's dive into your remarkable journey and timeless love story. So, Jane and Mr. Bingley, how have you overcome the highs and lows of your relationship in Pride and Prejudice? And what are your
Well, our relationship had its ups and downs. Every relationship has that,
yeah.
But especially with Mr. Bingley's sudden departure, which left me heartbroken, I admit. However, we overcame these challenges through open communication and trust, And when Charles returned, our reunion reaffirmed our love and commitment. Yes, and for the future, as you asked, I hope for life filled with love, companionship,
Lovely.
and just harmony. We aim to be warm and welcoming home and support each other through whatever life brings.
Yeah, of course, it wasn't easy for the two of us, but we have a stronger bond than ever.
Yeah, understandable. Now let's move on. How do you imagine that your love story and decisions could still inspire readers today?
Well, probably that you should always fight for love.
Ah,
Yeah.
it's an irremarkable. There are no better words than those who just chose to speak.
Thank you for joining us and
That was a bump, sorry.
and taking your time. Bye. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
So, this episode was sponsored by Match and Manners, and I'm so thankful for this opportunity to introduce you this incredible dating app today.
Are you tired of waiting for the next ball to find your perfect match? Do you dream of a suitor with impeccable manners and sizable estate? Introducing Match and Manners, the Regency era dating app designed for discerning gentlewoman and gentleman.
Whether you're looking for a dashing Mr. Darcy or a charming Elizabeth Bennet, our app uses the latest in 19th century matchmaking algorithms. Just answer a few simple questions about your social standing, annual income, and preferred leisure activities, and we'll do the rest.
Plus, with our exclusive Tropero mode, you never have to worry about improper interactions. And don't forget about our Dovry calculator, ensuring you get the best match for your fortune.
Download Match and Menace today and let the courtship begin. Because why settle for a dance partner when you could find true love with a single swipe of a quill?
Match and Manners is not responsible for any broken engagements, scandalous elopements, or duel at dawn. Always consult Lady Whistledown before proceeding.
So, I actually tested it the last year because I would never recommend you something stupid. And you guys, I'm engaged. So, it is true love. It was a cute guy. He was so remarkable. We had a cup of tea, short braid, and he was so insane. He had such good manners, like Mr. Bingley, and he was actually so attractive. Side eye, chef's kiss. No red flags. Walking green, guys. Hello and welcome back, and thank you for joining me on my podcast journey through the world of Pride and Prejudice. After hearing from all these iconic characters, I'm honored to welcome a distinguished poetry expert who will shed light on why this novel has earned its status as a timeless classic. So, welcome the cherished Sam Miller.
Yeah, you can just call me Sam, alright?
Okay, it's okay for me. Do you want to introduce yourself shortly?
Yeah, so, um, you know, studied at UCLA, but yeah, 55. What should I say? Like,
So, you're a real expert on your field.
yeah, you could say that. Yeah,
Do you want to start with the first question now?
yeah. Just go on.
So, why do you believe Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen continues to resonate with readers as a classic piece of literature?
Well, like it's an old book, Greta, but you know, like it's an example for feminism and an opportunity for girls and like women to decide for themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, it also shows how young girls lived back in the days, but yeah, challenges everything, but especially for young girls, like it was hard back in the days,
Yeah.
but um yeah, and also classics are often like rather controversial and have a deeper meaning, and in this book we can definitely like see the deeper meaning.
Yeah,
So yeah.
I agree with you. Let's move on to the second question. Why does Austen's use of language and wit contribute to the enduring appeal of the novel? What do you think?
Yeah, so I already said it's a rather old book, and it covers the time around 1900, and you get a real impression of the old times, the time back in the days, and
Yeah, I see your point.
yeah, it's all fascinating. Like it's just an old and sophisticated language, and of course, it's just extremely nice. But yeah, you also get an impression of how old like people back in the days talked.
Mm. Can you discuss any poetic techniques or literary devices employed by Austen that enhance the reader's experience and appreciation of the novel?
Yeah, so just the first like question, like sentence of the book is just fantastic. Like I read it out to you. It is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife. Like that's just like, do you hear the irony in that? That's just one of Austen's styles. Like she always has this
Yeah.
irony in her books, and you can find it like throughout the whole book, and it's fantastic actually. But also another thing, like you really get to know the people through the dialogue, and Austen just successfully makes it possible for readers to like get a better understanding of the personalities of specific characters.
Yeah, she describes it really well.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Um, yeah, she also does like foil characters like Jane and Elizabeth. They're like so different actually. Like Jane is very forgiving and sweet and sometimes shy girl, while Elizabeth is just so self confident and critical minded and sometimes judgmental. Like yeah, but you could talk about the like hours.
Yeah, I really understand your point and I like to hear you talking, but let's move on to the last question. How would you describe the overall poetic atmosphere or tone that Austen creates in Pride and Prejudice?
I mean, of course, like romantic and sentimental, but yeah, like I mean, we have a love story going on there, so of course romantic, but also very like reflective because you see so many different perspectives and of young women, and one who's finds a lovely man and they're happy and love each other endlessly, but
Mm.
another one who rejects everyone but then finds her love, and then the young ones who just like who are desperate for male attention, then marries someone who's way too old for her. Yeah, just all the perspectives, and yeah, overall atmosphere also like humorous or rather observant. Like readers can just like form their own opinions.
Yeah, I understand you. A heartfelt thank you to your esteemed poetry expert for delving into the poetic depths of Pride and Prejudice with us today.
Yeah, it was a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks. Your insights have illuminated the timeless beauty and literary richness of Jane Austen's masterpiece. Thank you, Sam Miller.
Bye.
Now, as we near to the end of our exploration into the world of Pride and Prejudice, I want to reflect on the enduring impact of Austen's characters and themes. Join me as we wrap up this journey with a final reflection on what makes this novel a beloved classic. Throughout our discussions with Jane Austen herself, Elizabeth Bennet and Mr. Darcy, Mr. and Mrs. Bennet, Jane Bennet and Mr. Bingley, and our, insightful poetry expert, we have uncovered layers of wit, social commentary, and timeless romance that define Pride and Prejudice. From Austen's sharp critique of social norms to the nuanced relationships that unfold, this novel continues to resonate across generations. Before we sign off for this episode, let's carry forward the lessons of resilience, growth, and the power of love that Austen so beautifully portrays. Thank you for joining me on this journey and through one of literature's greatest treasures. Stay tuned for more enriching conversation on classic literature in my upcoming episodes. Bye!